Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper, and today I am going to dive into a conversation about something that you have been asking me in my DMs, in my emails, which is all about moving to Ghana. These are 7 tips on how you should prepare before you move to Ghana. All too often, I get messages in my emails, in my DMs, talking about people who have moved to Ghana and have had unfortunate situations happen, heartbreaking experiences that have caused them to have to leave and go back to where they came from. Or some of them are so devastated financially that they don't even have the money to even try to leave the country, and they're desperate to find ways of making it while they're here. I received a call from somebody who knew of someone who had lost everything and was desperately looking for a way to return back to the US. I got an email from someone who said that they had moved with their family and everything that they have is now gone because they didn't plan properly before coming to Ghana. So this video is so that I can address some of the challenges people face to help you in your journey of planning to come to Ghana. Number 1, do your research. I know that there's so many of us on YouTube and on other social platforms talking about the excitement of Ghana, talking about the opportunities to be in this country. But the reality is you have to do your research before you come. Know exactly what it is you want to do. Why is it that you want to make the move? Don't make a quick move on an emotional decision of the excitement that you're seeing of Deti December in Ghana. Because when you look at it, it looks like everybody is having a great time every single day, 365 days a year, that nobody's working, we're just chilling every day. But the reality is, yes, Ghanaians love to have a good time, love to have fun, but people are working, people are running businesses. So do your research before you come. Take the time to ask yourself, what is it that I want to do when I go to Ghana? Do I want to be an entrepreneur and start a business? If so, what type of business is it that I want to start? Do I know what people need there? Do I know what's there that people need abroad? So doing your research is very, very important. Also, doing your research about where you're going to live, knowing a little bit about the country before you come is so important before you decide to make the move to Ghana. Tip number 2, visit Ghana before you make the move. I know that there's a lot of people who make the decision to just pack their bags and come to Ghana on a whim. I'm not saying don't do that at all, but I strongly advise that you visit the country before you make the decision to move, because it can be a real adjustment, especially if you're somebody who has never been to the continent of Africa before. To adjust to the way things are being done, it can become a real shock for you. So I usually suggest staying in the country, coming to visit, maybe for a month to 3 months, to get an idea of what it's like to be in Ghana. Some people say you should stay 4 months at a time, 5 months at a time. I know that not everybody can afford to come and stay for extended periods of time, because you have jobs you may have to go back to, and many of these jobs might only give you 2 weeks off. So maybe you're taking 2 weeks and then the rest of the time is unpaid time off. So I understand the limitations in coming and staying for extended periods of time, but at least try to stay for at least a month so that you can really get an idea of what it's like in Ghana. So you can figure out, do I really want to live in this country? Tip number 3, have a financial cushion. I had someone who contacted me a few years ago and said that she wanted to move to Ghana with her kids. She had $3,000, 3,000 US dollars saved, and she thought she can move with her children to Ghana with $3,000 and be able to make it and be able to live. I told her there is no way you can move from the US to Ghana with only $3,000 in your bank account and you're moving with children. First of all, a lot of people who come here with a family with children, they want their kids to be going to some of the private schools because they want their kids to have an education system that's similar to the education system that they were having when they moved from abroad. And that comes in the private school education. And a lot of these private schools are charging US dollar, British pounds, euro tuition fees. I know of people who pay, $2,500 every term, or there's even schools that charge up to $10,000 each term. So it's a good idea for you to have a lot more of a financial cushion when you're planning to come to Ghana. Not only when you have children, but also as a single person. You also need to know what kind of lifestyle is it that you want to live when you come to Ghana. If you're trying to maintain the same lifestyle you had back in the country that you're coming from, you may not know that it's going to come at a cost. There are things that are here. You can live that exciting lifestyle. You can live that, if you want to live a bougie life, or if you want to live just a normal, comfortable, middle-class lifestyle, you can do that. But it is a little bit more expensive than you may think it is, because people will look at the currency value of $1 or €1, £1 versus one Ghana city and see that there's a lot that you get for it, but you don't realize that some of the prices are high in considering where you are. You wouldn't expect it to be. And that's because there are a lot of things that are imported into this country, which causes the costs of things to be a little higher. So plan with a good financial cushion. I usually suggest that you have at least a year amount of money to live before you make the move. And also considering the fact that when it comes to housing, a lot of these places ask for a year up front in rent. So the next one is secure, reliable housing. I just ended off the last point talking about the landlords asking for rent. So some landlords will ask you for 1 year up front, 2 year up front, 3 years up front. I even know some people who've paid 5 years rent up front. So that is something that's unheard of when you're coming from countries like Canada, the US, the UK. You're used to paying maybe 2 months rent up front to secure an apartment, and then you're paying month to month. And then you just give your landlord 1 month's advance notice when you're leaving. But here in Ghana, they ask for a year minimum up front. There are a few landlords who now have been taking 6 months up front, which actually the laws in Ghana say it's supposed to be only 6 months. But a lot of these landlords are taking 1 to 5 years rent up front. So you've got to have that large chunk of money to pay your rent and then have your living expenses in Ghana. So you can research online to find out what's available, or when you come on the trip to Ghana to visit first, that can be an opportunity for you to explore and look around to see what the housing options are available in Ghana. And it's also a chance for you to see the neighborhoods, because sometimes people will see something online and then they realize when they get here, oh, that's actually really far from town. It's not close. And then they're like, I wish I was in another area. And then now they're rushing to research and find something else that's closer to the center of town or closer to the activities that they're involved in. So it's very important that you get to know the neighborhoods in Ghana, get to know what is what, where everything is, and it can help you with making a decision on where you want to secure your housing. Decide, do you want a house? Do you want an apartment? There's a lot of apartment buildings that are going up right now. Some of them are very diaspora friendly. And then there's a lot of homes that you can actually rent. There's a lot of homes available because a lot of Ghanaians build homes, and so it's an opportunity for you to rent from someone. Take your time and research. Get to know who the reputable sales agents are when it comes to the real estate business. There's a lot of people online talking about things they're doing, but make sure that you take the time to vet everyone, because I know I've heard stories about some of these companies that have taken advantage of people, and then now they're left with all their money gone when they've paid for housing or paid for land or property. So take your time and do your research when you're securing housing. The next one, understanding immigration requirements. There's people who come to Ghana on a whim, or even just on vacation, whatever it may be. And sometimes they think they can come and arrive and then suddenly quickly get residency or get citizenship quickly. But you have to understand the laws in the country. It's important that you know that you have to actually live in Ghana before you can apply for residency and then subsequently apply for citizenship. I know that you saw the videos that have been online, including on my channel, where recently 524 people got citizenship. And then before that, there was about 200 people who got citizenship. Before that, there was 126 people who got citizenship. And then 2016, there were some people who got citizenship as well. And so when you see that in the news and you see the media, there's this appearance that you just come and arrive and you get citizenship. But the reality is the majority of those people made the decision they want to live in Ghana and have applied for residency before they got the citizenship status. And in getting the citizenship, those cases were under the president's decision. It was a presidential executive order that they got their citizenship in Ghana. Normally, it can take up to 8 years for people to get citizenship in Ghana, and you have to be living in the country. for that period of time. There are some details in that when it comes to getting residency and how long you have to be here. I did do a video on this channel about how to get citizenship. I can link that for you to check it out. It'll be, you can tap the link above me that you'll see pop up, that you can check out that video where I go into more detail about the citizenship status, getting citizenship in Ghana. But when you first come and you stay with a visa and your visa period time is coming up and you renew your visa, then you renew your visa again, then you can apply for residency. When you apply for residency, you have to prove where you're living. They're going to ask for, landlord information. Are you working? Are you doing business? Do you have, the certification about your business? What is it you're doing in the country? How are you going to impact the country? If it's a job offer you actually have from a company, then you would show that the documentation that you are actually working for a company. The company will help support you with supporting documents as to you getting a residency status. So know your immigration information before you decide to make the move to Ghana. The next one is build a support network. When it comes to Ghana, relationship is everything. So networking so that you can meet people, build relationships with people, because Ghana is very much into that. If you're somebody who was born and raised in Ghana, you know, because Ghanaians are very much into the schoolmate thing. So like if somebody went to elementary school with you or secondary school, high school with you, you have this bond and people have this reference point of, oh, that's my schoolmate. Oh, I know them from school. And then it's like they're buddies, they come together. You may not have seen them for 10 years, but when you come back to Ghana, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna reach out to my schoolmate. They can help support me in what I'm doing. Oh, they can connect me with this person and that person. Easy to do when you're a Ghanaian who was born and raised here and maybe you left and come back. More difficult when you don't know the lay of the land, you don't know anyone, and you're trying to build a network. So I recommend when you come to look at joining organizations. There may be some expat groups. There may be some diaspora organizations that you're interested in. If you're African American, you might join the African American Association of Ghana. People coming from the Caribbean islands, you may join the Ghana Caribbean Association. There's also a diaspora coalition. There's so many different groups available that you can join, and some of them create WhatsApp platforms that you can be a part of and you can communicate with people and build friendships. And then those are the people you can lean on and call upon in situations when you're trying to connect within the country. Also be very conscious about the industry that you're going into. Maybe you're coming to Ghana and you're starting a tech business. Then look out for if there's any tech conferences or anything like that happening in Ghana, and then you can go and you can attend these things, and it's an opportunity to introduce yourself to people, meet different people in the industry, and then you build from there. So this is a really key part of making a home in Ghana and getting a strong footing when you come to a country where you may not know anyone. Finally, be prepared for culture shock. When you come to Ghana and you've never been to this country, or maybe you've never been to Africa at all, it's a little bit challenging for you to adjust to some of the things. I always find it's easier for people of African descent who've come here before, they visited, they know a little bit about the country because of their family members. You know, someone like me that was born here but raised in Canada, my parents often talked about Ghana and different things. I still had some culture shock. Don't get me wrong, I did. But I also had that understanding, because sometimes I would say things like, oh, that's why my parents did these kinds of things. Oh, that's why they said this. So it kind of was like something that was like helpful for me to adjust, but I did have some adjustments to make still. So if you're somebody who has never been here, prepare for culture shock. There are cultural practices that you may not be aware of, so it's a good idea to look into some of these things. Things like, I'm left-handed. You may not know in Ghana, the left-handed thing is a huge deal for some people. Some of the younger generation aren't making as big a deal about it, but there's a lot of people that you'll hear when someone's handing you something, and if they're handing it to you with their left hand, they'll say, sorry for left. And the reason they say that is because you're supposed to hand it to them with your right hand. And that is a history that comes from that the left hand was used for when you go to the toilet, and so it was looked at as being an unclean hand, and it's just kind of stuck. And so you still see people, they won't hand money with their left hand, and if they do, they'll say sorry for left, and that's their way of apologizing. Maybe their right hand was full with something and they had to use their left hand. So that's one example of the culture shock that you may have in Ghana. The other thing is, there's a lot of people who will be insulted if you don't greet them. Greeting is so, so important in Ghana. Like, if you're living in the US or in Canada, there's a lot of big cities that people just walk by each other. They just walk by, they don't say hi. It's like they're going from point A to point B and walking in the streets of Toronto, walking in the streets of New York. But when you come to Ghana, people will greet each other. You'll see someone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. And if you don't greet people, people are very insulted and look at you as not being friendly. It's very cultural. I remember people would tell me that I wasn't friendly, and it was because I wasn't greeting everyone. And it's because I wasn't used to it. I mean, when I lived in Toronto, I remember the people to the left and to the right of where I was living, they never even said hi to me. When I moved into the place, I lived there for 2 years, and when I moved into the place, I remember saying hi to the neighbor, and it was literally like they just looked at me like they didn't want to talk to me. But here, it's like people want to say, hello, how are you doing? Especially when it's in your neighborhood, on your street. So, and if you're staying in a hotel, it's also important that when you see people working, hello, how are you? You know, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. They love to be greeted because it's looked as a sign of respect, and just, you know, just friendly and nice. It's part of the hospitality. So there's a lot of different things that I haven't listed. That's just a couple of examples I wanted to give, but prepare for culture shock. Don't expect things to be the same way as they are where you're coming from. You know, every country has its practices, every country does things differently, and look at it as an opportunity to learn and to grow and to experience something different. Because if you want everything to be the same where you came from, you might as well stay where you came from, right? So it's important that you learn to, you know, grow, expand, and embrace something else. There may be something that you're also bringing too. You can teach people about something from where you're coming from. There's nothing wrong with that. But know that you will go through some culture shock when you come. So these are 7 tips that I hope help you in your decision to move to Ghana. I think they're all important, but especially do your research and make sure that you have a financial cushion before you come, because it is very easy to just spend. Before you know it, your money is gone and then you are stuck. There's nothing worse than being stuck and being in another country that you don't know the systems, and then you're just like in a panic mode. So it's very important to do your research, visit the country, make sure you have a financial cushion. You know, there's all these things that you need to do before you make the move to Ghana. If you want more information, you can read my book, Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana. It's available on Amazon, and I go into more detail and give you lots of information about some of the things you should know before you make the move to Ghana. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have more questions, put them in the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer all of them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.